decade, maybe even a decade, I've gone toe-to-toe with Brandon about this because he's a baseball purist, but baseball needs an automated strike zone for the computer to call balls and strikes, not umpires. And this goes back to last week. You had Laz Diaz from the home plate umpire, Game 4 of the ALCS. He missed Nathan Eovaldi's strike 3, and then they went on a run, 7 runs or something like that. But he missed 23 calls that game. Now, in all 30 stadiums, they have triangulated pitching cameras that record the pitch 50 times per second as it comes out of the pitcher's hand. They can figure out within an inch of where it crossed the strike zone. So why isn't the computer calling these? Now, they did a study from 2008 to 2018. Umpires made 12% of their calls were incorrect. In 2018 alone, umpires got 34,000 calls wrong, and 107 games ended on a bad call. Get rid of the home plate umpire, or have them there just to call safe or whatever when people are sliding in, but let the computers call balls and strikes.
Yeah, so when Combs and Soup Boss actually did their live reaction show of the World Series Game 1, they actually went on like a half-hour rant about this, and Combs has been a big advocate about it. Like, he's like, hey, bring in the automated strike zone. I'm tired of this of this crap call. And I was on the exact opposite. What makes baseball such a great sport is the human error element, is the, hey, this is a judgment call. Hey, and then Combs wanted to come back at me like, hey, why don't you just challenge this, and this, and this? I'm like, well, in the NFL, you don't challenge judgment calls. You don't challenge holding. You don't challenge pass interference. So why would you be able to challenge balls and strikes? That makes absolutely zero sense to me. So automated strike zone, I am absolutely 100% against it. I like the home plate umpire. I love the human element of it. And if you think about this, it makes the game a lot more of a chess match. You have to find out, is this umpire going to call this a strike or he's not, right? And yes, I get it. It changes inning to inning, batter to batter. I get it. But it's the human element that makes it such a great game. So much fun to watch. It makes us talk about it. Otherwise, would we be talking about that pitch in the third inning that I don't even know who let Max Fried pitch because it was 2 inches low and it changed the whole at bat? No, we wouldn't. We wouldn't have a lot to talk about baseball at this point.
I think you're completely wrong because there'd be plenty to talk about. You could talk about home runs, stolen bases, great catches out in the outfield. You could talk about a lot of things. Listen, how many times on the show have you guys actually sat around and talked balls and strikes when it wasn't a bad call? Like, never.
Exactly.
Right? It's only when there's a bad call. So I'm just saying, baseball purists, which Brandon is, but he's coming around a little bit on the progressive side. But baseball purists say the same thing. They say human element should be part of the game. It's always been part of the game. You know what else used to be part of America? Slavery. And we got rid of it. So sometimes we recognize that things aren't working. And so we fix it, right? And so in this case, baseball is not supposed to have error. When the game was invented, it wasn't like, hey, you know, how can we add some mistakes to this game to make it a little more interesting and spicy? They're like, hey, let's get it right every time. But they didn't know how because they had humans, right? At first, the players called the balls and strikes. Well, that wasn't working. Why didn't they keep it? I mean, you're a purist. Let's just do what we've always done. No, we brought in umpires to make it impartial. Well, now we have computers that are more accurate than umpires. The goal of the game is to make it fair for both sides, and it's not when humans are calling balls and strikes. This makes it fair. It levels the playing field. It eliminates error, and there should not be error in any form of officiating in any sport.
So if you do that, let's take it to the next level here. Let's say you have automated referees in NFL. There would literally be a flag on every single play. Talk about a long game. Meaning the World Series on game 1 was like 5 hours long. The NFL average game would probably be 6 hours long, like at that point. The one thing that Wayne, like, I know that you are a guy that likes to think of new ways to make the game great. Baseball is great the way it is. If you make a automated strike zone, think about how big of scores you will have. You will have slow pitch softball style scores. 25-22 is the final. And those games, that are 3 or 4 hours long now, 7-hour games, easily.
Well, what you're doing is you're advocating for pass interference to be called when the team's losing, but not being called when they're winning because we want to keep the games close and keep people interested. No, we want to get it right, and that's just the way it is. Now, I understand what you're saying. In football, they don't have the technology to do what you're saying, like to really see every single hand and every single position. Someday they might, and when they do, guess what we're going to do? We're going to have technology call the plays, and that's okay. It's okay because guess what? You shouldn't be like, hey, it's okay to hold. No, as a football coach, you should be teaching your players not to hold. And if they do hold, they should get flagged for a penalty. So what this is doing is it's making them improve their technique. And if you can't block a defender without holding him, you probably shouldn't be playing at the highest level.
Oh, I see that to an extent, but like I don't want to change this to a NFL game or to a NFL topic by like any means, but if you take holding out of the game, there would be a sack on every play. The defensive line is just too damn good to not get to the quarterback every play. Same thing with a hitter. If the strike zone is a 2x2 box, every game at every at bat, 162 games a year, they have a minimum of 3 at bats in a game. Quick math off the top of my head, what's that? Like 500 at bats minimum of the of the year. How are you not going to be batting over 400 every game, 500 every game? I mean, it just like it almost makes it easier.
Does it though? Or are you also making it easier for the pitchers? Because getting it wrong doesn't mean calling balls strikes. It means also calling strikes balls. So it's a give and take, right? If you make it fair across the board, then the home runs go up and the strikeouts go up, right? And the people who were hitting home runs on those balls they shouldn't have, now they're not. And the ones who should have been hitting home runs, now they are. So like I said, it's a scale. We're just getting it right on the balls and strikes.
I mean, obviously, I feel like we could go round and round on this, and Combs would be an excellent person to go round and round with it because he is a pure baseball fan. But just like you said, Combs is starting to be a